And I think recruiting at every level, if you can't recruit, you can't win. You have to learn how to recruit.
I will not go below 30 unless the player's an absolute stud as far as work ethic.
We'll congratulate each other and chug some beers if somebody wins a national championship.
If they did, don't you think I'd have 2 championships by now? I might have 3.
Now, I know Cash uses those booster gifts. He's always promising cash and women, right?
I've only been caught twice. I've only been caught twice. That's it.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of This, That, and the Other. I'm your host, Majique. And tonight we're expecting Adam to be on, but I did get a notification from him that he's actually got some personal things that popped up. So unfortunately, he may not make it, but we'll have our fingers crossed that he can still make it. And even if he doesn't, that's fine. We've got some things that we can discuss nonetheless, primarily the tool that Ebzimny's been doing. Ed's been working on that for a couple weeks now and doing a fantastic job with it. So we'll discuss that, as well as the recent, I think it was the 15th of April patch that Adam released. So we'll discuss that as well. And we've got Ty. Let's see if we can get him on here.
You say Magic?
Are you there, brother?
Yep.
Good deal. If things go a little awry tonight, you'll have to excuse me. I'm using my phone. Given that the Surface is doing an update, so we're going to go this route and see how it works. First, we're going to put off the patch comments and discussion and give Adam some time to get here if he can, in fact, make it. And like I said, if he doesn't, no biggie. We'll definitely get him on here in 2 weeks. But so we'll start off with the work that Ed's been doing. Ebzimny's got a GD recruit assistant tool that's similar to what Yatzer did. Got pretty much the same functionality, the same intent, of course. The same purpose. And we've got a video that he did, and we're going to go ahead. Let's see if I can find that. Sure is a lot easier when I'm used to having normal stuff.
Hey there, this is Ed. Following up with another video just to highlight some of the new features that I'm coming out with in the latest beta 0.3.1. So first off, I've added the ability to bold certain attributes. You can customize per position. This is similar to what the Yatzer tool had. I'll show you what that looks like in a second. Additionally, you can customize role ratings now. There's a tab for each position, and you have up to 6 roles that you can customize. The main thing you want to do is just make sure that these rows add up to 100. You can go over 100. I don't have any protections against you doing that, but obviously the calculations is not going to match what the expected outcome would be. So you really just want to make sure that the row adds up to 100 for the ones that you're using. And again, you just switch between the tabs to go for each position and then click save. All right. So let's get a view of what this looks like. I have a demo database here, which I've just made some edits to. In any case, all right, so a few things from a formatting perspective. I've added the blue formatting text for the recruit ID column and the hometown column, just to give some sort of indication that you could click on those and something will happen. If you click on the recruit ID, I've already showed this in the previous video, but you can open the recruit profile details on Gridiron Dynasty. And then if you click on a location, it will try to map that location on my GD Analyst web app. Here you can see the custom bolding of attributes per position. And then over here, the role ratings R1 through R6 have all used the, what was set in the role ratings here. If you do click save, if you click save at this point while a database is loaded, it has to query the database for all the recruits and update them all. So it might take a few moments, maybe a minute or two to update all the recruits. So if you don't have a database loaded, or if you don't have the season loaded, that's the best time to make the changes. But if you made them right now, it'd still work. It would just take a few minutes to update all the recruits. What else am I missing? Oh yeah, watched. So if this, I don't have an active recruit season going on right now, but this is an example of what it would look like. If a player is signed, I'm no longer showing the signed column, but I am showing a highlight that says, okay, if a player is signed, that means that you'll see the gray background. The white background players are unsigned. And then in terms of potential, I've added some color coding that's similar to what the What If Sports has in terms of green for very high and red for very low. I also added a number here just so you could sort it better, and sort it in terms of very low first and very high would be the other way around. In any case, watched, also you'll see that there's an icon here for your watched players. So just some visual improvements. You may see a little bit of slowness because of all the formatting additions that I've made, like especially when you're clearing filters. But for the most part, this app I think is coming into shape. Oh yeah, one last thing. Sorry, export to CSV. You can do that real quick. Click export to CSV, and it saves a CSV file. Down here, you'll get a little notice that says, the season name followed by .csv. I can show you what that looks like real quick. So here, here's the CSV file, and open it up, and there you go. So I know many of you were asking for that feature. So I think that wraps it up. Hope you like it. Let me know how it goes.
Did that stop the video? What the heck? Why is there no video?
Majique, there's nothing wrong. We just have our mics and our cameras turned off. Jay Hunter, unmute your mic and turn your cam on. Can anybody hear me?
I can.
Yeah.
I saw in the chat. I think he just wants to watch. Jay Hunter.
Yeah, I'm eating my dinner. I didn't want anybody to watch me.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, and I'm waiting for Majique to, give us the new flavored vodka that he's trying. What was that? That flavor that you had in the anniversary show? Majique?
Yeah. Did my mic come back on?
Nah, you're frozen. I see you in the top screen, but we hear you.
And then, yeah, you're there. I can hear you now, Majique.
Man, this thing, you have to forgive me. I don't know. This thing tried to update on me again right in the middle of the live broadcast. So, we got that going for us. Not. You got to love technology, fellas. That's all I can say.
Better start drinking that flavored vodka.
Man, I'm telling you, tonight is when I need it.
What is the flavor? What is that?
Why is this thing not shutting off? Screw it.
Jay Hunter, what was the
hell with
flavored vodka that he was drinking?
That was some of that kissed caramel or something. Yeah,
Caramel.
Yeah, some kind of caramel or something.
Okay.
Right?
You know, that real manly stuff.
All right. Well, I got me some good old fashioned bullet.
I'm doing Monster and Jaeger myself.
Oh,
God.
oh no.
That's
Gotta be young
punishment.
to be doing that. That's not good for your ticker. I used to drink Red Bull and vodka like it was going out of style.
Lord have mercy. All right, let's see. We got, where's our song watching only? Okay, Hunter is on. Shannon is watching only. So I guess it's just us. Again, sorry about the screwy start to this thing. As far as the video goes, you know, like I mentioned at the onset, it's very similar to what a lot of us were familiar with Yatzer's tool. The issue is that some people consider it cheating. Some people consider it a crutch. Some people don't like to use it. Some people don't know how to use it. And there's basically a couple different sides to all this. There's the ones that say, yeah, it's all right. And then there's the ones that say we shouldn't be using it. And, you know, Billy, what's your take on it?
I don't use it. I have no problem with people using it. I don't. You know,
Right.
it's not for any particular reason. But I just don't. But I have no problem with people doing it. You know, like I said, the only thing that I wish that, you know, and I applaud, you know, Adam for some of the stuff that he's been
Right.
doing. You know, he's, you know, making the game better and making some changes and making some tweaks. You know, the one thing that I wish that he would put on is to have during recruiting a drop down tag for each school, and you can look at all the recruits that particular school is on. You know, that they're either green or yellow.
Right.
You know, so I can know, okay, if I'm going after 2 of X position, and I know he probably only needs 2, and he's got 4 of them green, you know, he's probably not signing them all.
Yeah, and that's something that Adam mentioned he's looking into as far, not just that specifically, but a lot of those things, because he's mentioned time and time again to me and on the show too, that he wants not to discourage people from generating programs or tie-ins or platforms or apps that to use with What If Sports Gridiron Dynasty. But those proven tools or those useful tools, he wants to incorporate similar items into the game itself. So like you said, you know, being able to look at a school and see what recruits on him. You can do that with Ed's tool, and you can do that with Yatzer's tool. So it would be nice if you can do that within GD itself without having to leave it to go
and I don't think it's
and use something else.
cheating because look, when it gets down to the nitty gritty and, you know, dollars are kind of scarce and you're trying to decide where you're going, I will pen and paper that.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, and I do as well.
You know, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. So why not make it very simple?
Exactly.
You know, I don't think that's cheating. That's not, you know, putting a rating system or anything like that, like, you know, like Yatzer was. But, you know, that's just one of the very, you know, quote, simple things that I think would help a lot of people out.
What's old Miss Man think about all this?
I've never used any of the recruiting tools. I don't have anything against anybody doing it. Guest has their own recruiting tools that when they came out with that, I definitely leaned on theirs the most, even though you said it. Yeah, I'm open to everything. I mean, because I've had the #1 recruiting class several years in a row and still not won the NC. So I mean, sometimes it has to be a mixture across the board. So I mean, if you can pull anything you can pull out to get me. I applaud you on it.
Yeah, and the reality too, and we've mentioned it about the results from the GD reports that Bob puts out, and Bob's even said it. That in of itself is a snapshot at that time when recruits, and if we look at it 4 years down the road, look back at some of those, we can see that the number one class, or even sometimes the top 5 classes, may not have made it deep into the playoffs or deep into the bowls as far as getting the upper level bowl games, because work ethic isn't considered as part of the activity that goes into the formula for those report results, nor is athleticism, position changes that occur from time to time, playing time, potential. All those things are factors that are not calculated in those recruit rankings. So, and I think that's one of the things that tends to frustrate some of the new people that come on and play this game is, after they've had a year or two under their belt, they get the handle of how to recruit, and they're pulling in these upper level recruit classes, but yet that's not translating to success on the field. And it may be because they are recruiting for the purpose of getting a top recruiting class instead of recruiting for the purpose of the needs for your team or the scheme that you run offensively and defensively. So that's some of the issues with the variety of tools that we have out there. Is Daryl going to be on with us, or is Daryl just in the background?
I'm here.
Hey, there he is. It's your turn.
You don't want to know what I think.
Oh, my God.
Now, I've been talking to Adam quite a bit, emailing him back and forth, because I was kind of vocal about, I don't have a problem with him closing, the loophole or whatever. And there's things I didn't even know about it, about other loopholes. But it's one of those things where, if somebody's taking the time to figure something out and whatever, I mean, I don't look at it as a bad thing. I look at it as somebody's delved into the game way further than I'm willing to do it. And, if that gives them a competitive edge, then so be it, because they deserve it, in my opinion, if they've went that extra mile or whatever. But I mean, I understand him wanting to close, the loophole. And like I said, my only beef was, and is that there was no, mention of doing it.
Yeah.
When he came in here and they was hired and everybody's gung ho, let's go. And one of our first questions was, is there going to be any changes behind the scenes? And, he said, nope, you're going to know everything that's going on and all that. And so then here we are, he made the change without telling anybody. And the problem with me was I had 4 teams recruiting at this time, and they were all past that stage of making offers and stuff. And so I basically got screwed on all 4 teams. And then, like I said, I had one of the, I had the number 1 guest rated quarterback in one of them, and now he's crap because, I went ahead and tested it to see what they lost anyway. So I went ahead and redshirted him. He went from,
you did? You
was like,
redshirted him? Because
Yep.
Adam lied to me then. Me and him have been arguing back and forth. I redshirted my quarterback too, and he dropped work ethic. I took the red shirt back off, and I figured, I redshirted him. I put it back on him again. He dropped again.
Yep. I did the same thing. Yep. Mine went from,
I've been complaining to him, and he told me I'm the only person. Listen, I'm going to post my response with him in the forums because he was pretty unforgiving and ridiculous. I mean, of course I'm going to test things and look at something. I mean, I don't understand what the problem is. Listen, I could blow the whole show open with all the loopholes I know. I mean, really, there's a lot that he's
I mean, it's, I went ahead and did it. Like I said, he dropped 50% on the first one, and I think he dropped 50% both times. Because
too. I got my number 1 quarterback with 11 work ethic.
Yeah, mine's at 12 now. So
that on the forums, I made a mention of what I had encountered as well with the promised start and the playing time, and putting a red shirt on him. He dropped, I think it was like 30-some%, took it off, put it back on him, and the same experience, he dropped even more. So that was something that I hadn't anticipated.
Me neither.
I
Me
figured if
either.
you
I thought
redshirt him,
that.
you put it on him and take it back off, he reverts.
Well,
Or
you get to
at the
see
very
what
least-
happens. That's right.
Yeah,
What's
at the
wrong
very
with that? You know, now all of a sudden it's permanent. It's because he doesn't know how to code the loophole. He put in a fail safe. If their promise something and you put something on, it's going to hurt him. It's going to hurt him every time. You know, and he should fix the people that have. I know we're testing the system, but what does he expect? I mean, you know, I'm going to be honest. I let my team go in Dobie and brought it right back out and lost all my scholarships. He hasn't closed anything. If you leave your team, if you drop a team and somebody else picks your team up, as long as you're still unemployed in that world, you can see what he does. You can see how he's cheated. And that's how I learned all these. I watched everybody else redshirting people that had 75% starts and stuff. I mean, there's a lot going on that, you know, we're supposed to just tell him. You know, he wants me to just tell him everything I know. You know,
and that was the thing with me is he said something about, you know, transparency being a two-way street, in which my whole thing was that, you know, I told him, I said, I didn't even look at him as that. You know, I've been in this game for 13 years or whatever, and it's been like that ever since. So it was just always been a part of the game for me. I don't think about it. I don't plan it. It's just whenever something happens, you know, whenever I'm in recruiting and I think I need to do that, or, you know, a lot of times I do it no matter what. So that way nobody jumps on him. You know, it's just one of those things that gives him more power to stay green. I just do it without even a thought behind it. So
a small thing. I mean, really, it's a small thing.
And that's why I say, I mean, he's acting, you know, in the emails back and forth to me, like he thinks that this is going to make, you know, the new guys be more competitive with us. And I'm like, I don't think that's what you're looking for. I mean, like I said, I have no problem with him closing this loophole.
I think we should discuss that, though. Has anybody ever looked at any other gridiron games?
Oh, God.
Have you? Because this is like an advanced one. A lot of the other ones offer a non-rollover team that you get to play a season for free. Then if you choose to pay, you get a team that you can roll over. You know, they don't do that here. They expect people to jump in with 10 plus. I mean, new players are just meat here. It's that is it. I mean, unless you put in time and time and time. I mean, like my first 11 seasons, I never made the playoffs. I was terrible. You know what I did? I picked up another team. I got more competitive. I figured it out, you know, and if you're just going to jump on this and leave right away, obviously any dynasty game is a 4-season game. You have to see a whole class through, you know. I mean, new players are just not graduating to this. I don't think it's even being advertised anywhere. Can you really Google this and find this under football simulations?
Yeah, it's available out there, and it's not just the football; it's the entire platform.
Well, yes,
I mean, all that is available depending on what you Google. But that's how a lot of newcomers find the game is through simulation Google. You know, looking for football simulations and what have you. And of course, they offer, you know, the free seasons or the greatly reduced seasons to draw some of those new players onto the platform. And I know that's one of his mandates or his taskings is to increase retention. And so we have to bear in mind too that, you know, retention is not just new people. Retention is the old farts, you know. That's
yes.
They're all. So the things he does, you know, from where I'm sitting looking at it, there are times when I'm like, man, as a newcomer, I wouldn't like that. And then other times there's things that happen where as an old fart, I'm like, man, I don't like that. You know, I particularly don't care for the positional change that, you know, after 5 games, no position changes. Okay, I have no heartburn with that. You know, yeah, not a problem. But I would like to have that positional change restriction lifted once the national championship game has been played. And, you know, granted, there used to be a time when coaches would make position changes because we had them unlimited and they would basket case a team and nobody would want to pick them up. And, you know, that there was just assholes that did that. But for a coach who has either picked up a new team immediately upon the job opportunity, transferred teams, or rolled his team over, it's very important, and it's a very important step initially for the upcoming season to be able to make any position changes that you need to make to either balance your team or improve some of the positions that you have. Prime example is, if I prefer to run pro set, and that's my bread and butter, and that's what I like, and I pick up a team in a particular region that I like or a conference that I like, and it's all shotgun, the moment I pick that team up, I should be able to change some of those wide receivers to receiving running backs if I want to. And the way it is now, that option is off the table until the season rolls over, which now means that those freshmen who I could have position changed, but because of the restriction couldn't, now they're sophomores, and we all know what happens when you try to do a position change with anybody greater than a freshman. It takes a big hit. So that, to me, is one of the areas, and he and I have talked about it, that can be remedied or be fixed. But again, he's listening to I don't know how many different people, and everybody has their little corner of the world that they like to use and their methodology. I know I've got my favorites, just like everybody else. And it's inevitable that over a course of time, somebody's going to get their toes stepped on. And as I mentioned, mine was the position change issue. And I know Ray's got an issue with that as well. He and I have talked about that extensively. And there's no reason that, getting your toes stepped on should prompt you to leave the game. I mean, that's just ridiculous in my opinion. It's going to be better down the road. It has come a long way from where it was just 3 years ago. But again, we have become so steadfast in our methodology that anything that prevents us from now using that methodology, we view from an emotional basis as being a slap in the face. And I'm guilty of that as well. But then, I take another drink and I tell myself, I say, self, in about a year, this is going to be a pretty damn good game if things go the way they are. And then once it's set up right, now for each of us to help make it better. And I know, the longtime people who've been here forever, they've got some good ideas. Some of the new people coming in and some of the new ideas that they have are seeing things that we don't see. And how long have you been playing this game, Billy?
I probably right under a year. So
okay.
I wanted to address the thing that the patch that came out, and and I was hoping Adam would be on here. Look, and I've been back and forth with Adam a little bit, and kind of cooled down about it, just because look. I didn't know about the 75% rule, which you can redshirt them for about 3 or 4 months. And then I do what I was told to do. Ask owners. Majique, it might have been you that told me. I don't remember who did. But, I've gotten hints from other people. And, like Old Miss Man said, when I first started this game, I was horrendous. Not that I'm any good now, but, I picked up some things. And with the whole thing with the patch, kind of like what Jay Hunter said, it's not that I'm all, that's fine. Change the rule. Okay. If you want to change the loophole, that's fine. That's great. Don't do it when, like he got affected with many worlds. I got affected with one. I would have been affected with 2, but that morning I happened to redshirt guys in a world. So I got that in under the gun. But then I have 3 guys that I play in a red shirt, and then he showed me you got to play him the percentage that one game and then bury him on your depth chart.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, and he's like, oh, it's equal for everybody. I'm like, no, it's not, because I got I finally got into 1A in a world, my first 1A team, and I've got no bowl money, so a lot of the players I have to get are lower end because I don't have the money to spend. So I got a quarterback with a really high work ethic, and there's some low cores in the plans on redshirting him. And without the money, I'm easily advantage I can get. He's like, no. I'm like, well, some of these guys don't have to do that, but I do because they've got all the money. So it is a little bit of a disadvantage. And look, I don't want to bang on him. I just, don't change the rules in the middle of it. Give us a warning. Hey, in a week, starting with X world, this is going to change. And
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I didn't want some people to know about it. I didn't want some other people not to know about it. Well, they could have easily put something on the recruiting page, your individual recruiting page, to let everybody know that. And that was my
All
only
5
beef.
of us agree.
That was my only beef with it. If they want to change it, and I like the fact that he's trying stuff and he's tweaking it, and that's all fine and dandy. We all have a choice. Either if we don't like it, we can take our ball and go home, or we can continue to play. But we do pay money to do this. I mean, I'm not taking food off my table, to do this. But if it screws up a season or something, we're spending money for that. And kind of like what jhunterz said, it's all about the customer. Like Majique said,
Yeah.
we
Love
need
it.
to try and get new people, but you got to appease the people who keep putting the money out.
Yeah.
Like you guys have played it for many more years than I have, and y'all have spent a lot more money doing it. You got to keep those people happy.
And that's tough to do.
It's tough to do. It is tough to do. And, like I said, I don't want to bang on Adam because he's not here, and I don't think it's fair. And, I've calmed down and just, he and I have had some talks on message. But back to, like the recruiting classes, like Ole Miss Man said, I have the top recruiting classes, and I'm still not winning a national championship. I talked to 2 or 3 owners on the chat on a fairly regular basis, and one of them, who will remain nameless, told me, "Don't pay attention to that." He says,
Right.
"Look, with what I do, if I'm in like my wheelhouse, if I'm like ranked 8th or 9th, he says, that's kind of my wheelhouse based on how I recruit. By the time it's all over, I'm going to have a top 2 or 3 class.
Yeah.
So,
And that's,
just for the new guys that are watching this, ask. Just ask questions. Ask questions to the guys that have been doing this for a long time, that, have a bunch of national championships. And that's kind of what I have done.
Yeah. And, the add-on to that a lot of new guys don't understand too, is especially if they're taking over their team in their particular division, it's tough when you're recruiting your ass off and you're getting the upper echelon, but you're still pulling in the 30th or 40th ranked class.
Right.
And they're using that as a indicator of, oh my gosh, I suck at recruiting, doing something wrong. When the reality is they pulled in the best class they could pull based on their vision. And that patience to wait and move, go up in vision takes 3, 4, 5, 6 years sometimes.
I just started.
And they don't have no way of knowing that.
I took a team from scratch in Heisman at AA, team with, terrible vision. And so I'm in the first year of my first true rebuild. And I asked a coach who likes to do rebuilds, how do you attack? How do I recruit? And he just told me a couple of basic things. And, and it's going to take 3 or 4 years for me to, maybe when these guys are seniors, I'll be competitive, and it's going to take a while for me to get my vision up so I can get better players. But, and I've done things where I've taken over Valdosta State, which is, perennially a top 10 team and stuff like that. And that's all fine and dandy. But I just kind of wanted something new. And this this particular coach is like, I always look for a challenge. I've got my teams where I do well, but and so it's kind of challenging myself, even though I've only been in this game, I guess, about 10 months, to try something else. But like the number one thing is, and I think a few guys that have been on here, just ask. Maybe you don't ask me because I've got 0 national titles, but there are other owners other coaches that I lean on. There's 2 or 3 in particular that I talk to on a semi-regular basis, and they do help me. It hasn't got me over the hump yet, but I definitely do see some improvements in some things that I do.
Yeah. Hey, Billy, we're picking up some chatter whenever your mic is on. Do you have your mic?
Do I what?
Can you mute your mic, or you want me to do it? We're getting some clip chatter. Yep, it went away. If you want to say something or chime in, just unmute and join us that way. Yeah, because I thought it was Shane at first, but it's not.
No. So what I was thinking was, where are we gonna start? Where can we get it all together? What we would like Adam to do? Because I definitely want to get injuries back into the game, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like that will help topple these elites. If some of their players got injured, somebody might, be able to persevere. I feel like there's a lot that's being left out of GD. We haven't had any real updates. Our big update was this last patch, and last time they took away how many people you could change positions on. We haven't had any TLC.
If I remember correctly, injuries, a recruiting pipeline. For instance, if you've got players on your team from a certain school,
yes,
recruits from that school will have a bit of increased liking to your school.
Right. I agree.
Yeah, there's a variety of things that Adam and I and several others, even on the show, have done. But I think what his plan is, and again, I'm trying to remember exactly the way he laid it out, is this game that we know today is a situation where making major changes to the game, such as adding back in injuries and doing all the calculations for that, etc. Programming for this game was not done in a modular manner. In other words, there's not just subcomponents that can be fixed with the rest of the programming. It's all in a programming code that is pretty much throughout the entire platform. And if you change one little thing somewhere, or a recall somewhere else that looks for that, and it glitches the game if it's not all done correctly. So, and this is where the new game came into play, is we have to understand that the program we're running today is in excess of 20 years old. So the technology and the that have come in that 20 years is far advanced from what this game is based on. So the new changes, or these changes, such as injuries coming back, players going pro early, players saying, you know what, you've got 4 quarterbacks on your team. I was green for you, but I see you the quarterback. I'm no longer green for you. Those type of things are what could be incorporated into a brand new game that is predicated on the fundamentals of this game, but it has more options, if you will. For lack of a better term or a better analogy, this game we have now is a Volkswagen, but the one that Adam would like to provide us in a new iteration of the game, not a different world, but a totally new game, name and everything. The sunroof and spoilers, souped up engines, nice sound system, kick-ass tires and rims, those type of things. And what'll happen, in my opinion, is this game that we know, if everything goes the way that I envision, the discussions that we had and their hopes with Chris as well, the game will probably be sunset in several years, because the new game, if it turns out to be as good as what I can imagine, would be a much more enjoyable, much more interactive, much more competitive game. So it'll be more filled. It'll have greater population, and this game that we know will be now. Having said that, that's me talking. I'm not putting words in Adam's mouth or Chris or anybody else. That's just piecemeal discussions from what we've had. You know, it's to be seen, but I just really hate the thought of people leaving this game now after they've, played for years and walking away. Just went around the corner. There's a potential of being something great. Whereas, 3-4 years ago, we didn't even have that potential on the horizon. It was dead. Seville did all he could to keep it up and running, but there was no light at the end of the tunnel before these guys came on board. Now, whether they can pull it off remains to be seen. Fingers crossed. I know I want to stick around, and we've got some guys on the chat that aren't on the actual broadcast. And Joseph Hughes, he should need to go to the message boards. Players are more than willing to answer questions and help new and old players alike. And that's been a common thread through a lot of these shows, is we out that new guys and veterans should not be afraid to ask and should not be afraid to reach out to somebody when they have a question or a situation that they're unfamiliar with. And, that goes for pretty much anybody that I can think of. I don't know of anybody that I have encountered that just won't help you if you ask. They're not going to give away secrets. I tried to get Daryl to tell me all his secrets to all those signing opportunities in the first cycle, and he won't budge.
Well, evidently, the only way I can win is cheat, according to everybody on the forum. So,
oh my!
As soon as they started bringing out all that crap about putting asterisks by the national championships and all that stuff, I haven't been in the forum since then. I mean, I'm like, you know what? If that's what you're thinking, but like I said, I've been kind of talking to Adam in emails and stuff, and one of the things that kind of bothered me that he sent, and that's kind of why I got on here, because like I said, I thought he was supposed to be on as well.
Yeah, don't look like he's going to
question about it. We was actually supposed to talk on the phone. In one of the emails he sent me, he said this. He said the senior owners that you believe have kept the game alive are actually the ones slowly killing it. And instead of seeing the value of these new owners, you say they want immediate gratification and that your advantage is earned. And it says there's a big difference between immediate gratification and being the number 10 team in the nation and getting beat 100-0 in the playoff game. So I'm like, that it kind of ticked me off a little bit, because I'm like, because the thing I sent to him was, I'm like, you got to understand, like you guys mentioned before, us veterans have got multiple teams. I've got more teams now than I've ever had. I had 8 or 9. Actually, I think I had 10 teams, and I've dropped down to 8 now. And you've got Seabreak, who's got multiple teams. You got Z Lions fan. I think he's got a team in every single world there is. And I'm like, to sit there and say that we're not the lifeblood of this game, and that it's the new owners, and they're getting mad because they're getting beat, 100-0 in the playoffs. What does that have anything to do with this exploit deal or whatever is going on? Or it's kind of. And I'll be honest with you, it did. I'm one of those guys that I was looking to quit. I've already told him to remove me from pretty much all of my teams except for 1 or 2. He's never done it yet. Like I said, he was supposed to call me on the phone. We haven't gotten a hold of that. He said he needed Chris's help to do it, and Chris was gone or whatever. But like I said, my biggest thing was, number 1, you told us you was going to be transparent. I didn't see that. Number 2, then you're telling me that, that basically the veterans are part of the problem with the game, that we didn't turn ourselves in for the loophole or whatever, which that's what I told him. I said, I didn't view it as a loophole. I didn't view it's just always been a part of the game as long as I've been in the game. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't put any. It wasn't like I was sitting there going out and going, okay, how can I cheat at this game? What can I find or whatever? Trust me, I don't delve into it any more than anybody else does. There's people out there way more interested and has way more time than I do. And I just whatever I catch bits and pieces here and there, I'll use as much as I can. But like I said, it's and that's why I told him. I said I really don't care to be called a cheater. I said I'm not a cheater. I wasn't cheating. It was a part of the game. And he's like, well, you wasn't cheating. If you'd have been cheating, we'd have disciplined you guys and all that. And I'm like, well, then why wasn't we informed? Because to me, it's almost like he wanted to catch us, or he wanted to prove a point to the new coaches that, hey, I'm out, doing this for you guys. We're fighting the fight, which I have no problem with new guys. I'll help on the boards as much as anybody. There's a guy on their armchair or something or other that's been asking questions, and there's been a whole host of people on there trying to help him out. But I'm like, I don't really have any secrets to. I'm willing to learn still. I luck into one here and there, but I don't know any.
I've been using all kinds of stuff, and I still can't win. I don't know what's wrong with me. I got to be honest. And it's funny because he said nobody else complained about anything. Me and him have been messaging all day, too. He threatened to not even respond to me. So, and I asked him to remove me off of my 3 games as well. I'm protesting by dropping down to one team, and I'll just play my one certain team. And
that's kind of the way I was looking at it as well. I was like, well, if the veterans are not the ones keeping it going, then maybe the veterans need to pull back some of their stuff, and then we'll see what happens.
I don't want to sound like a whiner, but I'm not going to continue to pour money into this. And then this isn't the first thing that's hurt me. I've drafted completely maxed out players before that I had no idea, and the other creators just told me, hey, it's part of the game. You got a maxed out guy. Just sorry, drop him next year. Honestly, with this whole red shirt thing, you could start. If I was going to drop my team, I could mess up a bunch of my players before I did it. Like if I particularly knew I was going to drop Redlands, I could mess up almost half of their players because somebody along the way had some type of promise start or play time or something. I do incorporate those a lot with my recruiting because a lot of times, if I got 3 linebackers, I need 3 more at least. Somebody's going to be playing there. Somebody's going to get some play time. So I'll promise my best one that type of deal, and I just feel like he didn't care to try to work with us a little bit. I know we're using a loophole, but it wasn't like it was just one of us. A lot of us have admitted to doing this. He should have given us a good little bit of time. I just feel like there's no compassion to Gridiron Dynasty. He told me in our emails that he did this to Hardball Dynasty or whatever that other one is, and that nobody complained, nobody whined. We need to suck it up. We've been exploiting the game and running players off for 5 years. So I just don't feel like he values the people that do pour a ton of money into this game.
If you look across all the worlds and look at the top levels and everything like that, they're mostly the same coaches. Look at the elite. The elites are mostly coached by the same coaches. They might do them, they've got some different ones at each school or whatever, but for the most part, it's the same people. So,
absolutely. And I'm not here to bash him either. Believe me, I want everything fixed and everything fair. Fair is fair, but you can't double hurt me on a work ethic because I took a red shirt and put it back on. I decided I'm going to put it back on. I already took the work ethic hit. You know what I mean? Why not put it back on? It already happened. You were kind enough to leave me an extra cheat so I didn't get penalized, but
Well, and is he closing that too? When's he closing that one? I don't know.
I honestly don't think they know how to close it. That's why you're getting penalized because it also told me I redshirted a defensive lineman who had nothing, and it told me I was going to hurt him too, but I did him first. And then when nothing happened, I was like, he might have been bluffing. I did my number 1 quarterback, with high potential. I totally nuked him. So, months. I try to explain to people, like I've been in a bad mood with my wife months. 3 months went into this one draft because now my team is actually playoff caliber. It's months of this stuff. So I mean, sometimes I feel like that would be appreciated. We really put a lot of our time into this game. So
more time than I care to admit.
me too.
And there's people that do way more than I do. Like I said, I don't delve into it as near as much as some of these guys do. And like I said, I talked to a bunch of my friends who are better at it than I am, and I'm talking to you, Jay. But yeah, I mean, it's like I said, I just wanted some notification because to me that's not transparent if you're coming in, and the only reason I can think of you not giving a notification is because you're wanting to catch somebody, or you're saying they're cheating or whatever, But
well,
to me,
he made it clear that he doesn't consider it cheating, but he just made it clear that if you're caught. I mean, I get the guy's deal, but let's just remember, we pay for this. Not to sound cocky, but you upset enough of us. This whole Gridiron Dynasty is really going to die because it is really sustained by 25 people, 30 people. I mean, how many teams do you have, Hunter? How many teams do you have?
I'm at 8 right now.
Right. I have 4 myself. Majique, how many teams do you have?
I've got 6, I believe.
There you go. We got 20 teams almost between us. I mean, come on.
And Shannon's got 8. And I know the great.
And TY has 6. I mean, we're talking 30 teams. I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, we really are the heart and soul of this game, and he should definitely listen to our concerns and try to incorporate them in some way. I'm not telling him what to do. It's his game or whatever.
JDP and I think it was Rockney LSC conference that I was in for some time. He and I were in that conference for a couple of years, and I think he's going to.
Well, that's what he's
conference somewhere.
The thing I have a problem with is that they sit there and they say that these new coaches don't have a chance or anything. But I'm like, I play in D2 in Wilkinson, and there's that Speakeasy 232, and he's not been there a whole lot of time. And S. Cottrell, he's not been in there a whole lot of time. And these guys Speakeasy's won 8 or 9 championships in a row.
Right.
And he's clobbering me. I mean, nobody kept him under 40 points. And I'm like, what he has to understand is that people are going to stay if they want to stay and they want to play the game. It's as simple as that. If they don't want to put in, you got new coaches to come in, and if they don't win something or, they get blown out by somebody else, they're like, well, I might as well just quit or whatever.
That's right.
Whenever I first started playing, I was the same way. I started playing and I wasn't very good. I had a guy beating up on me all the time. And so then I started asking him questions. I'm like, hey, what are you doing with this? And he was great. He'd sit there and, well, we'll try this and try this. And this is kind of the way I do it. And I mean, I couldn't emulate it perfectly. And he probably didn't tell me everything. He still clobbered me until he finally quit. But, it was a challenge for me. I was staying there and I didn't leave until he left. He left before I actually got a chance to beat him. But, I was going to stay there until I beat him. And, that's me. That's my competitive nature.
And you're the kind of people we absolutely need. That's exactly what
you got. Like I said, you got these new guys that start, and then they just, like I said, if they're not, I call it immediate gratification. If they don't win right off the bat, they're done with it. They're like, I don't want to put forth that kind of time, or I don't want this, I don't want that. And recruiting lasts too long, and whatever else. It does last too long.
It does last too long.
But and that's my only beef is that if they really want to play the game and they want to learn the game, they're going to stay. And if they're just there to try it out and see if they like it, and if they win or don't win, then they'll decide after that. And I mean, I'd like to have more people as well. I mean, it's better to play humans than it is them all the time, but
I know we should try to organize all of us joining a world and a division, and just really try to fill that division up with a lot of quality people. I mean, I feel like if we could really run our own beta, so to speak, in a certain world in a certain division, we could really see what happens with the full world. Is there going to be elite when you're really battling for recruits, when it's really skinny, when you are signing people with
well, we did that in Wilkinson. Everybody, all the elite coaches, basically.
Is that still going on?
Well, they had already, it's already basically fizzled out now. It started out with X amount of coaches dropping down. We're talking the Jason Freemans and
yes, that's
Natty Dog and all them. They came down from 1A and all joined the same conference, and then basically they filled that one up, and then some of us lesser known people were in another conference, and we basically went against each other, in out of conference stuff. Which there's, Jason Freeman and them are still in there, but a lot of the other ones have kind of fizzled out. The only problem with that is, man, it's hard to recruit.
That's the beauty. Yes. That's the beauty.
I don't mind playing great coaches, but man, the recruiting is brutal.
Yeah, especially if those teams in that conference are geographically located within close proximity to where it's the same recruits. It's an absolute bloodbath. That's kind of like I mentioned JDP earlier in that LSC conference. You got all those teams. If you've got an LSC Division II conference that's full, it is an absolute murderer's row. You've got so many schools that are within less than 100, 200 miles of each other, and good schools, and roots, and you can't help but get into battles in Texas when you're at D2, because it makes you slobber when you. Gosh, I can't wait to get him on my roster, and that sentiment is being shared by everybody else in the full conference. It gets ugly quick. Well, guys, look, it's almost time to. Fortunately, the setup I'm running here has not been very conducive. I've heard a lot of chatter and clicking and all that mess, and tried all kind of stuff. So I'll run this through the system and see what the heck's wrong with the surface I'm using, because it pretty much just crapped the bit. And we'll get it fine-tuned and back on schedule. But look, to everybody out there who is in some way, shape, or form the head that many of us have talked about here tonight with the new patch, and possibly even things to come. Trust me, I'm sure that there'll be opportunities out there where we can, because we've been rubbed the wrong way or whatever through a patch that's come out. Bottom line is, it's not like anybody's trying, and that includes, the players, the management, wherever the case may be. And, I get pissed off just as much as everybody else does, especially when it's meeting on, kind of like what Shane was talking about. And then, you go and have something like this happen. It sucks, quite honestly. It does. I'm going to stick around, and it's just a small price to pay in order to reap the benefits and the rewards of what I foresee is going to be. I encourage everybody else to stick around. For those folks who weren't on tonight but are here in the guest room, I know Shannon and Joe and Jefferson joining us tonight and being with us via the chat and watching the show. And again, to everybody out there, come on anytime and join just like these guys did tonight. We'll bring you on board with your camera and mic, and you can have your say and present your ideas or share your situation, whatever. And we look forward to seeing you. So another episode of TTATO is in the bag, but I would be remiss if I left tonight to the lady who actually inspired the name of this show. And I know a lot of folks out there don't know where the show name came from. And my mother, she's German. And sometimes when she's talking, she gets tongue-tied and can't figure out the American word. I'm not talking recent. Of course, it is recent, but this is something she has done for, gosh, probably the last, well, as long as I've been alive. Hell, and I'm 59 years old. She'll say, yeah, and this, that, and the other. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, this, that, and the other. I was talking to her on the phone earlier today for her birthday, and she was talking about a doctor. And that is actually where I got the name of this show, because it's fitting for Gridiron Dynasty, because it is a lot of this, that, and the other. And we've talked about a lot of that. So if you happen to watch this show, happy birthday. I love you. And thanks for the inspiration for the name of this show. To everybody else, good night. Next time here on This, That, and the Other. Why is this not playing?